Daji the Talking Horse, The Adventure of Bako. A long time ago, in a small village called Wassa, on the northern edge of the Great Savannah, the sun rises casting a warm glow over the land, creating long shadows as villagers go about their daily routines. There lived a poor orphaned boy named Bako. He was kind-hearted and hard-working, helping the villagers with their daily tasks. In return, they would give him foodstuff to sustain himself. That was how he lived and got by each day. Yet, deep in his heart, he longed for adventure and a chance to reclaim the honor his family once had before they lost everything to the greedy and wicked emir. 15 years later, Bako stood tall, not as the wide-eyed boy from the village, but as a man shaped by time. The journey that began with a spark of wonder had become a path of trials, growth, and purpose. His hands bore the calluses of hard labor, his eyes the calm of wisdom earned. Much had changed, yet deep within, the same fire burned, the fire that once drove a child to dream, and now drives a man to lead. This is the story of Bako, reborn, resolute, and ready to face what comes next. One evening, as was his custom, Bako wandered near the edge of the forest, lost in thought. His moments alone were precious to him, times when he felt invincible. Suddenly, a strange sound startled him. It was not the rustling of leaves or the cry of an animal, it was a voice. "Come closer, young one," it called. Cautiously, Bako stepped forward out of curiosity and found himself face to face with a magnificent white horse. Its eyes shone like stars, and to his astonishment, the horse spoke. "My name is Daji," the horse said. "I have been waiting for this moment to finally meet you." Bako was both amazed and frightened. "You can talk? Horses do not speak," Daji neighed. "I am not an ordinary horse. I was once a great warrior, cursed into this form by a jealous sorcerer. Only someone with a pure and kind heart like yours can help me break the spell." Bako felt a mix of excitement and fear. "How did you know about that?" Daji replied. "There is an ancient prophecy that has been spoken about us. I am not here by accident. I searched for you all over the northern savannah, village by village. Wassa was the last village on my list. I had accepted my fate of living as a horse for the rest of my life and was about to give up when I heard your voice, which startled me. According to the prophecy, only the boy who can see me in my true form is the one I must journey with on this adventure." Bako, lost in thought, wondered, "Can I trust a talking horse? Was this a trap or truly his destiny?" After a brief hesitation, he took a deep breath and asked, "How can I help?" Daji explained that the only way to break the curse was to defeat the wicked emir, who had stolen the wealth of the common people for his personal and selfish interests. Many families had been taken prisoner and their properties confiscated. Considering this, Bako damned all consequences and was willing to dare rather than stare and do nothing. With courage and hope in his heart, he climbed onto Daji's back, and together they galloped toward the emir's grand palace. As they journeyed, whispers of a lone rebel reached their ears, a young girl who once lived in the emir's palace. That night, under the cover of darkness, they found her, Sadia, fearless and determined, sharpening a dagger near an abandoned hut. She knew secret passages and hidden doors and offered to help them infiltrate the fortress. She also carried a hidden agenda. Her family had been imprisoned by the emir, and she sought revenge. Bako and Daji spent 2 months at Sadia's hideout, planning on how to capture the emir and reclaim the throne back to Bako. So every night, they planned how to infiltrate the palace, knowing they needed more hands to help. Sadia calls on her friends, both men and women, who had rebelled against the emir and sought an opportunity to unseat him. All they needed was someone to lead them, and they would follow. They worked tirelessly training them, knowing their drills and formation. You could see the determination and hunger in their eyes for their land. After training for 2 months, they were all battle-ready before they embarked. Bako made them all take an oath to lay down their lives for their land and their people, and if we perish, we perish. That night, 50 men and women with swords, spears, and arrows were battle-ready. They spoke in hushed tones. Even the birds of the air could carry tales to the king. They all went to bed early, knowing the next day would be an important one. However, Bako could not sleep. Sensing this, Daji came and sat beside him. "What's on your mind, my friend?" Daji asked. Before, the fall of Wasa's true heir. As Bako stared into the flickering campfire under the open sky, Daji watched him closely. Something shifted in the air. Memories long buried began to surface. The boy, now hardened by suffering, was once royalty. He recounted to Daji how his father Nasiru was the rightful heir to the throne of Wasa, a man of wisdom, strength, and justice. But fate was not kind to him. His half-brother Zubairu, the son of the emir's third wife, was ambitious and restless, one who would not wait for power to come to him. On the night of the great betrayal, the palace walls bore witness to unspeakable treachery. Zubairu, consumed by greed, orchestrated a coup against his own blood. Under the guise of a grand feast, he poisoned his father, the emir, watching with cold eyes as the mighty ruler gasped for air, his life slipping away with each breath. With the throne left vulnerable, Nasiru was the only obstacle in Zubairu's path. But Zubairu was never one for fair battles. Under the cover of darkness, he led his most ruthless guards into his half-brother's chambers, dragging Nasiru from his bed, while his wife and child watched in horror. Bako, barely 5 years old, clung to his mother as she shielded him, tears streaming down her face. The fight was swift. Nasiru never stood a chance. He was slain before he could even raise a sword, his blood staining the royal carpets. His final words were a whisper, a plea to God to protect his son. Zubairu, now bathed in his brother's blood, turned to the trembling child and his mother, his lips curled into a smirk. A prince without a throne is nothing but dust in the wind. Instead of killing Bako, Zubairu made a crueler choice. He banished the boy, tossing him into the wild like a stray dog. His mother, stripped of her royal garments, was thrown into the dungeons, never to be seen again. From a prince to a beggar, from royalty to an outcast, this was Bako's fate. Now a fire rekindled. Daji's golden eyes gleamed as Bako clenched his fists, his body trembling. The fire before them crackled, casting long shadows on his hardened face. "The past does not define you," Daji said, his voice calm yet powerful, "but it shapes what you will become." Bako looked up, his eyes filled with new determination. He was no longer the scared little boy who had been cast aside. He was the rightful heir to Wasa throne, and one way or another, he would reclaim what was his, but Zubairu would not give up his throne easily. With the wicked emir's power growing stronger, Bako would have to face the past he ran from and defeat the monster who stole his future. As the fire died down, they all fell asleep. While asleep, Bako dreamt of how he fought the emir, defeated him, and was crowned the emir of Wasa. When he felt a tap, it was Daji. "Bako, wake up! It's time to go." Bako woke up with a smile, his hope quickened. He trusts that it was going to be a good day. So they got ready and embarked on the journey to the palace. Before arriving at the palace, Daji said to Bako and Sadia, "Let us visit the wise old woman." Meanwhile, the other warriors rode ahead to await Bako's instructions. They traveled through the night, though the darkness made navigation difficult. Fortunately, among them were warriors familiar with the route, who took the lead. The wise old woman, fondly called Gogo, welcomed them with a warm greeting. "Ina Kwana." She then unrolled the scroll and read the prophecy. Only when the boy and the horse trust each other completely and restore peace to the people of Wasa will the curse be broken. She warned that defeating the emir would not be enough. They had to uncover and expose his greatest weakness. The palace. What transpires in the palace? Beyond the golden dunes and towering tamarind trees stood the magnificent palace of Emir Zubairu, a ruler who is feared across the land. Though known for his wealth and power stolen from his people, the true horrors of his reign were whispered in hushed voices. The emir did not merely rule, he played games with the lives of his subjects. Within the grand courtyard of the palace, prisoners were dragged from dungeons, their fates sealed before they even stepped onto the sun-scorched sand. The emir, a man entertained by cruelty, released them into an arena where they had to outrun or outfight his ferocious lions. The roaring beasts, kept half-starved for days, tore into those too slow or too weak to defend themselves. The emir and his court watched with delight, placing wagers on who would survive the longest. For his amusement, he organized the hunt, a brutal game where the strongest prisoners were given weapons and sent into the dense royal forest. If they managed to evade the emir's elite guards and deadly traps, they earned their freedom, but no one had ever succeeded. The emir always wins. Finally, they arrived at the palace gates. Daji devised a clever plan. Using his ability to speak, he disguised himself as a gift from a distant king, led by one of the warriors. The greedy emir, enchanted by the idea of owning a talking horse, immediately accepted Daji into his stables. Little did he know, he had just let his enemy inside his walls. That night, Sadia and the other warriors sneaked into the palace. Sadia led them through the secret passages. They found the emir's hidden treasure chamber, where the stolen gold and jewels of the villagers were stored. But before they could retrieve them, the emir's sorcerer sensed their presence and alerted the guards. "Thieves! Seize them!" the emir bellowed. A thrilling chase ensued through the winding corridors of the palace. The clang of armor echoed as guards rushed after them. The scent of burning torches mixed with the musk of damp stone. Shadows flickered wildly as they darted through hidden passages, their breath ragged, hearts pounding like drums of war. Daji's hooves thundered against the marble floors, his powerful strides barely keeping ahead of their pursuers. He kicked down doors and leaped over walls, carrying Bako and Sadia on his back. Just as they thought they had escaped, the emir smirked and raised a small obsidian relic, an ancient artifact stolen from a sacred shrine deep in the desert. It was said that only the unworthy sought its power, for it consumed the soul of its wielder. His eyes gleamed with dark hunger as he clenched it tightly. The moment he grasped it, Daji let out a pained whinny, his powerful legs buckling beneath him. Bako gritted his teeth, his hands trembling. "Fight it, Daji!" he shouted, his voice raw with desperation. The horse's glowing eyes flickered, battle waged within. His light dimmed, his spirit shackled by an unseen force. A chilling wind swirled around them, thick with whispers from the cursed relic. Bako gasped, feeling its darkness coil around his heart. The emir stepped forward, his laughter sharp as a blade. "Bow before my power, boy, and I may yet spare you." "Foolish boy," he sneered. "Did you think you could challenge me without consequence?" The emir did not recognize Bako, for he was a child when he was thrown out of the palace. He bound Daji in chains and locked him up in his dungeon with Bako and Sadia. Bako, filled with anger and desperation, remembered the wise old woman's words. He placed his hand on Daji's forehead and whispered, "I trust you, no matter what, my friend." Like thunderbolt and lightning, energy surged through Daji's body. His strength began to return. Instantly, the chains shattered, and a powerful light engulfed the palace. Daji let out a mighty neigh that shook the walls and its foundation, while the fetters of iron and chains were broken. The armed men of the palace ran for their lives. It was a sight they had never seen before. In the chaos, the emir attempted to flee, but Sadia, using her knowledge of the palace, trapped him in his own vault. The villagers, hearing the commotion, stormed the palace. With their combined strength, they overthrew the wicked emir and reclaimed what was rightfully theirs. They released the prisoners, many of whom were reunited with their families, including Sadia. The wicked emir was locked in chains in the same dungeon where he had once imprisoned his people. This is worthy of note. What goes around comes around. Unfortunately, Bako's mother had passed away long ago, unable to bear the pain of losing both her husband and son on the same day. As the first rays of dawn touched the savannah, Daji stood before Bako. "You have proven yourself brave and true, and now my curse is broken." A bright light surrounded Daji, and before Bako's eyes, the horse transformed into a tall, noble warrior. He knelt before Bako and said, "You have given me my freedom. In return, I offer you my life in service. Ranki Adade long, my king." With his uncle Zubairu dethroned, Bako was immediately crowned the next emir of Wassa. With joy in his heart, he became a great leader, ensuring that justice and kindness always prevailed. Sadia reunited with her family, and the land flourished under their care. And so the legend of Daji, the talking horse, lived on. In every village square, storytellers spoke of the night the boy and the horse defied fate. Some say that when the desert wind howls, it carries the faint, defiant cry of a horse that refused to be tamed. The palace, once a place of tyranny, became a symbol of change. Elders spoke in hushed voices of the young boy who tamed a cursed horse, broke the spell, and defied a greedy ruler. And some say that on moonlit nights, the wind still carries the distant echo of Daji's gallop, reminding all that true strength lies in courage and loyalty. Years later, Bako, now a wise and just leader, would gather children by the fire, his voice steady as he recounted their tale. Courage is not the absence of fear, he would say, but the strength to do what is right despite it. And so, their story lived on, reminding all who heard it that courage, trust, and kindness could break even the strongest of curses. Kindly hit the subscription button and subscribe now to my channel, Folktales Hub and Stories with Grace. Be notified when I post a new video. Like, comment, and share my video.